It's no secret that DeMar DeRozan is getting older, and it is time for him to take less minutes on this team. Billy Donovan has had to play him over 35 minutes a game in the absence of Zach Lavine and Nikola Vucevic. And as the focal point of the offense, things are only getting tougher. We're going to discuss more of this in this episode of Bulls Digest. I'm your host, Joey Mercer, and before we get into it there today, I just want to say that about 88% of you that watch these videos are not subscribed, so if you aren't already subbed to the channel, make sure to go down below, hit the subscribe button, turn on the bell for notifications, and you will stay up to date with the team that we all know and love here, which is the Chicago Bulls. Without further ado, let's get into the topic of today, and that is DeRozan isn't getting any younger. So yes, it's no secret. Of course, he is the focal point of the offense, and it is even close now with Zach Lavine out of the lineup. And now with Vooch down, there's a lot of pressure on DeMar DeRozan. Last game against the Pacers was a really tough and brutal loss, as they played zone, and we don't have the shooters around to really help Andre Drummond, who got out of the game early because of that. However, I want to mention that they really attacked our players when Drummond wasn't in the game, and we got out-rebounded, which isn't what you like to see. Billy Donovan should have made some more changes there to allow Drummond to be incorporated in the offense, maybe running more pick and rolls, trying to get out of that zone, and there needs to be more shooters on the court at the time. There were some really funky lineups ran there in that game, and that's why I don't want to put as much blame on Drummond as a lot of people have that I've seen online. DeMar DeRozan was solid in that game, of course, but the amount of minutes that he had to play is what was really alarming and opened my eyes to this article by Sports Illustrated. It said, with the Bulls' depth weakened due to injuries, Billy Donovan will be cautious with DeMar DeRozan's minutes. The minutes of the Bulls star are increasing as Chicago continues to rely on him the most, and that is by Stephen Beslick of Sports Illustrated, just posted there today. Next thing he said in the article was, despite the uncertainty and the overwhelmingly pressure about his future, DeMar continues to dust off any drama that tries to bind him and the franchise. He remained and will always remain committed, professional, and a willing leader of the Chicago Bulls. While Debo is overjoyed and content to be at the forefront of the Bulls' charge, there's some concern about how he will keep himself motivated, especially since both of his teammates, Zach Lavine and Nikola Vucevic, are out for an extended period of time. And the age is the biggest worry. I mean, it seems like it's going to happen at this point that the injury bug will hit him, just because he is of an advanced age. If DeMar DeRozan was in his 20s still, or even just 30, people would say, well, you know, maybe he can carry this sort of an offensive load. But now that he's in his mid-30s, that's not exactly what you want to rely on. Next thing we saw was, so far this season, Debo is averaging 36.6 minutes a game. He sits atop the entire team on minutes logged league-wide. He stands within the top 6. But considering his age and the amount of load he has to carry, his current minutes average imposes such a risk on what could unfold in the next few games. In his last 10 games, he managed to crack within 40 minutes of play or more 5 times. Very worrisome. That's a lot of minutes for anybody to play, especially a aging wing in the NBA. However, Debo looks very solid out there. Doesn't seem to be bothered by the minutes played, but there's been a few times that have been scares in the past couple of games where you see him go down, maybe grab his foot, his knee quickly, and then get back up. You can tell that he isn't in the prime of his career to be doing that. However, he does seem to be in the offensive prime the past few years, which is absolutely crazy to think that he's kind of just mastered things to a point where he knows what spots he has to get to. And the assists going up has meant that he's even a more crucial point of that offense, getting everybody involved. Had some crazy highlight assists so far of the year. Next thing we saw was, I am concerned, Donovan said, about Debo's increasing minutes. It is the situation we've been in with Torrey, Vooch, and Zach out. I play him a lot. I want to be mindful of that. I do check with him. He's good with communication about his ability. Let's hope that DeRozan is accurate in what he's saying, and it isn't just him saying, no, I'm all right, I'll be fine. I do not want to see another player on this team go down with an injury, and especially DeMar DeRozan, where he's so crucial to any sort of success that we've kind of dived into. The next thing we saw was, as it is, the Bulls cannot afford to lose another body, and they cannot truly survive if DeMar once unfortunately gets inflicted by an injury bug. And yeah, I mean, we've already talked about that in this video, and it's very accurate to come out and say that. I mean, DeMar is such a focal point of this. We don't have anybody to back him up. I mean, the Indiana game is something I really wanted to touch on because we just don't have the bench right now to be running these players. Terry Taylor played 13 or 14 minutes, and not a lot of anything was happening out there for him. I believe he's a 6'4 or 6'5", what they call power forward. I just don't really understand how he fits on the court at any point in time. Not a huge fan of his game, and it especially isn't great to see him having to play over 10 minutes in a contest. And some of the younger guys, too, I've been pretty underwhelmed with, so it's been quite the worry out there for the Bulls so far this year. The next thing I saw was talking about Coach Donovan with the younger players, and he actually came out and said he still has considerable pieces to consider, which he can give increased minutes as a response to managing the load of DeMar. Besides Alex Caruso and Ayo Dosunmu, both Dalen Terry and Julian Phillips appear serviceable enough to count on, as the two can provide a fresher output as the team's young guns. I'm going to have to disagree with that strongly. Dalen Terry has looked pretty poor out on the court, and Julian Phillips, who has not played very much time at all, doesn't look like he belongs out there at any point in time, and other teams have gone on runs while he's been out there for sure in the limited time that he's been out there. I actually went on Basketball Reference to see if my eye test of the players while watching them is the same, and it is accurate. The first player we're looking at here is Julian Phillips, and in 18 games, he's only playing 4 minutes a game. Of course, minutes have gone up more as of late, but we can see in 4 minutes, it's 0.6 points. Once again, only 4 minutes, but not even a point a game. I mean, nothing to mention in the counting stats there at all. And you can see the field goal percentage is 28%. He hasn't hit a 3 on half an attempt a game, and 25% on a very few amounts from the free throw line. Hopefully in more playing time, he can definitely pick up those numbers, but those percentages in limited time are very, very poor. Take it with a grain of salt, of course, because it's a very limited amount of time, but I haven't seen him doing much on the defensive end either that I would say is exceptional to have him play, 10 plus minutes a game, for example. The next player we're looking at is Dalen Terry, and you can see that since last year, in increased time, he's actually taking less shots, shooting worse, more shots from three, shooting worse, much, much worse, and then free throw line is essentially the same, and the points are actually worse because he's playing more time. That was in 38 games last year. These are in 17. He's playing more minutes per game. When I see Dalen Terry out there, it's kind of like he's just running around. Nothing is getting accomplished. Nothing's getting done. So I don't really rely on those guys. I understand they're both young and they've both played very limited time in this league. But from the very short time they've played, they seem to be an impact on the wrong way. They seem to be negatively impacting the Bulls and assisting the other team in getting victories, runs, baskets, whatever it may be. This has been your host, Joey Mercer. I hope that you all enjoyed the video there today. Lots more coming from the Bulls here. We hope we hear more news on Lonzo Ball come January, where he's resuming physical activities. If you didn't check out that video, that was the last video we posted yesterday. And I hope that you did like the video, so go down, hit that like button. Comment on the video. I'd like to hear from all you guys. Subscribe to the channel, turn on the bell for notifications, and I'll see you all in the next video. Sign out.